Hi, it's Gerry Oginski. I'm a New York medical malpractice and personal injury trial lawyer practicing law here in the state of New York. In just a few moments, you're going to hear from my client Igor tell you in his own words exactly what happened to him. Let's listen in.
He told me that it was just a shingles. He said he made perform EKG, and he said my EKG is perfect, that I have no problem with my heart, and he gave me medication to treat shingles. And it was a massive heart attack. They performed the surgery, they put 2 stents, and my heart was badly damaged. By the time I was in emergency room, it was only 15% my heart ejection fracture. I was having update by Gerry in the beginning of every month. And he explained me very, very clearly what my chances are, you know, and I'm very, very happy that, you know, I met this attorney.
You've just heard from Igor tell you in his own words what happened. But let me give you the real backstory of what happened and tell you how a doctor violated the basic standards of medical care that resulted in a failure to diagnose a massive impending heart attack that resulted in significant injury to Igor. Turns out that Igor was having significant pain in his left shoulder, and he goes to his primary care doctor, and the primary care doctor examines him and says, "Don't worry, you're fine." Igor has to turn around and beg the guy to do an EKG, and he finally relents, and he does an EKG, and he reads it, and he interprets it, and you know what he says? He says, "Igor, your heart is perfectly fine. There's absolutely nothing wrong with you. Go home, go rest, take some pain reliever, you'll be fine." And that's exactly what Igor does. He goes home and he tries to sleep. The problem was that he was having such excruciating pain in his shoulder, he couldn't sleep. So in the morning, early in the morning, he now calls an ambulance. And here's the conversation that he had with the ambulance attendant. "Listen, I went to my primary care doctor yesterday. He did an EKG. He told me my heart is perfect. He said there's nothing wrong with my heart." And so the ambulance attendant tells him, "Listen, if there's nothing wrong with your heart, if I take you to the hospital, you'll be sitting in the emergency room for hours and hours." And Igor says, "I don't want to sit around and wait for hours just to get somebody to look at me." He said, "Listen, I have an appointment later on today with another doctor. I'm going to keep that appointment and see what happens." And that's exactly what he did. And by the time he went to this other doctor, he was miserable. He was having radiating chest pain from his shoulder down into his chest, and he looked horrible. And the doctor then did an EKG. This is a different doctor, looks at it and realizes he's having a massive heart attack right then and there in the office. An ambulance is called and he's taken to a local emergency room. And while in the emergency room, Igor tells these doctors, "Listen, I went to a doctor yesterday who did an EKG who said my heart was perfectly fine." They said, "Let's get a copy of that EKG and take a look." And that's exactly what they did. They took one look at the EKG and they realized, "Oh my God, this is abnormal. If you had come in yesterday when you were having these problems, the EKG was abnormal, before you had your heart attack, we could have sent you in and had an emergency cardiac catheterization. We could have opened up the blocked vessel, which ultimately is what caused your massive heart attack. And if you had done that, and if that had happened, you never would have suffered this massive heart attack." So why do I share this information with you? I share it with you just to give you an insight and an understanding into what happened with Igor and how a doctor's violation of the basic standards of good and accepted medical care in not interpreting and realizing that Igor was having an abnormal EKG resulted in him having a massive heart attack the next day. You know, I realize you're watching this because you have questions or concerns about your own particular matter. Well, if your matter happened here in the state of New York and you do have legal questions, what I encourage you to do is pick up the phone and call me. I can answer your legal questions. This is something I do every single day, and I welcome your call. You can reach me at 516-487-8207 or by email at Gerry, Gerry, at Oginski-law.com. Well, that's it for today's quick video. I'm Gerry Oginski. Have a wonderful day.